All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, before we went on break, we talked about the rise of Hitler, how he basically became this kid who wanted to be a painter to the basically the Fuhrer of Germany. We also looked at Mussolini, basically this kid who was arrogant, smart, but liked to get in fights, to the basically dictator of Italy. Today, we're going to be looking at the rise of Joseph Stalin and how he became the ruler of Russia. Okay? So, here is your warm up picture. Now, the question's asking you, what is this artist trying to say about Hitler? Okay, now you can see him because he has a swastika on his armband there. He's the guy with the stick. So, what is he doing? What's the artist trying to say about him? Okay. So look at the other people, look what they're doing, look what he's doing. Um, so it should give you a pretty good hint of like is like who's in charge and things like that. Who is, you know, making people do things. Okay. So think about it, write your response, okay? And like I told students in class, if you put something like, I see a guy with a stick, you're not going to get your points for this warm up. Okay, you need to explain, what's this artist trying to say? You need to answer the question I'm asking. I can see there's a guy with a stick. So what? Okay, this is why a lot of you guys are not passing my class, is you're not answering the questions I'm asking you for this warm ups and stuff like that. You're just writing down whatever you want, and you're not going to get the points for that. Okay. So again, what is this artist trying to say about Hitler? So look what he's doing. Look at what the other people are doing. Okay. So think about it. Pause the video. Write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. So Joseph Stalin was born on December 18th, 1879 in Gori, Georgia. Now, I've had a pretty, good group of students in the past who realized, isn't there a state in America called Georgia? Yes, there is, but we're not talking about Georgia, the state. There's actually a country called Georgia near Russia, okay? And that's where he was born. Now, his name was Joseph, Josif, Joseph. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce that middle name and last name. If you want to try, by all means, go for it. I'm not. Okay. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is, that was his birth name. And the world will come to know him as Joseph Stalin. Okay. Now, his dad, his name was Bessarion. Okay. His dad was a cobbler. Okay. Now I know some students were kind of joking around, laughing like cobbler, like a pie. No, 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 no. A cobbler is somebody who makes, repairs, and restores shoes. That's the actual name for somebody who does that. Okay. They make, repair, or restore shoes. Okay. So his mother was a washerwoman. Basically, people would bring their sheets to her, their laundry, and she would wash them by hand and dry them and things like that, fold them up. That's how she made money. Okay. Now, at 7 years old, uh, Joseph gets smallpox. Okay. And especially at that time, um, it was pretty fatal for a lot of people. A lot of young kids got smallpox and a lot of them died. Stalin didn't. Okay. But the thing is, it did leave his face a little scarred. Okay. At 8 years old, the very next year, he got in a carriage accident and his left arm was slightly deformed. When it healed, it didn't heal properly. So it was a little off. Okay. Now, his mom wanted him to be a priest when he grew up. That was her hope, her dream, that he would be a priest. Yeah, that wasn't really for him. But the thing is, he did go to a theological school because he got a scholarship, mainly because he was a pretty smart person. Okay, he was no dummy. He was actually pretty smart. Um, and it's at this school in 1898 that he joins a group called the Georgian Independence from Russia, and he supported socialism. So if you look at the last three leaders, Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, a lot of these guys, their futures are in a kind of sense turned a certain way because they joined these different groups at a very young age. You know, they joined these political groups, these theological, these groups that have an agenda, and it changes them. Okay. All right, so here's the thing. Although Stalin was doing very well in school, he ends up dropping out. Now, the exact reason why he dropped out, nobody really knows. Okay? There's no one certain thing that's said that's like, oh, this is the reason why he did it. But the two main ones that seems like pretty legitimate things that would have made Stalin quit school was one, he couldn't pay the tuition anymore. Because you have to remember, at this time, people would pay to go to school. It wasn't like how it is now, where you, in a sense, some students, some of you guys would say, were forced to go. You know, back then they had to pay. You know, and if you didn't pay, you didn't go to school. You couldn't go to school. And some say it was because of political beliefs. Again, he was really into socialism and some of that. And some people thought he felt like, hey, you know what? Um, I'm going to make a change. So I can't do it here at the school. So I got to be out there. Now, here's where the interesting thing comes. Even though he dropped out of school, he actually got work as a tutor. He was actually teaching people math and science and history and things like that. Okay. And he worked at a clerk at an old school. Okay. Or at his old school, I should say. Um, so they hired him, you know, even though he dropped out, they still hired him as a tutor and a clerk. So in 1901, he joined the Socialist Democratic Labor Party and went full time on his revolutionary movement stuff. Now, the thing is, he got arrested quite a bit for labor strikes and coordinating those things. Um, now, like some students said in class, oh, because he was a thief and things like that. No, 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 that's not till later. Okay, at this point, he is getting arrested for coordinating strikes at factories and stuff like that. In 1902, he gets exiled to Siberia, you know, and it's at this place is where he took the name Stalin. And Stalin is Russian for steel, the metal. Okay, not steel like snatch and run, steel like in the metal. Okay. Now, at this time, Russia's going through some changes. Okay. And there's some pretty important leaders coming up at this time. One of them is Vladimir Lenin. Now, Lenin could speak, he really captivated people. Stalin wasn't that great of a speaker. He was a good speaker, he was, but he wasn't on the level of Lenin. Um, and again, he was smart, but he wasn't as smart as this other leader named Trotsky, Leon Trotsky. Um, he wasn't at that level. But again, these are two really amazing speaker, and just this guy was so Trotsky was so smart and intellect. He Stalin is like right below them. Okay, but he wasn't like the best of either one of those. But he was like right below them. Now the thing is, though, what he did have compared to those guys is he had drive. He was driven to do whatever needed to be done. So he would set up meetings, print out leaflets, pass them out to people, uh, get people together to organize. That was his major skill. And with his ability to speak, which was good, and his knowledge, his brains, he was able to really do certain things. Now, here's the thing, he actually escaped out of Siberia and he went into exile. He's trying to keep away from the Russian authorities because the Tsar, the king of Russia, um, basically had him labeled as an outlaw. So the Tsar secret police saw him as an outlaw and they're looking for him. Now, while he's in hiding, this is where he's like, you know what? I do need money. So he starts robbing people, kidnapping people, extorting businesses and factories and stuff like that, okay, to make money while he's hiding. But what he really becomes famous for as a outlaw is in 1907, he actually robbed a bank and some people died and he made off with 250,000 rubles. Okay. Now, the student in class was like, what the heck is a ruble? A ruble is the name of the Russian money. Okay, like we call our dollar bills, Mexico calls theirs pesos. You know, Germany calls theirs marks. In Russia, they call their dollar bills rubles. Okay. Now, in February 1917, the Russian Revolution starts to kick in. Russia's already in World War One, but things are starting to change. People are like, we need to get out of this war. So in March, the king, the Tsar, basically gives up his throne and he's put under house arrest. Now, the next month in April, Lenin told the people of Russia, you need to take back this land of yours from the rich people. You know, you work the land and you deserve all the stuff, not them. And then the factories, you, the workers, you make that factory run. You make it successful, not the owners. They don't make it successful. If it wasn't for you, that factory wouldn't exist. So, yeah, he got the people riled up. So the revolution was over by October, and basically Stalin, who was siding with Lenin and Trotsky, he was on their good side, and he basically helped them take control of the government. Now, in 1922, Lenin, the guy you see in that picture there with the bald head, he appointed Stalin as the general secretary of the state. So basically, he's like the second, third most important guy in Russia. Now, this meant he decided who could and couldn't join in the political party. Okay. Now, if you joined, if you were part of that political party, you got the best of everything: jobs, money, homes, whatever. Okay. So a lot of people were coming to Stalin trying to, oh, well, I'll do anything, I'll do anything. And he's like, okay, really? Okay. I'll tell you what, you could be part of the political party, but you owe me a favor, you know? And in this reference, I like to use the chess as a reference. He is setting up the pieces, getting people to that want to be in the political party to, yeah, come on in, but you're going to do this job and you're going to owe me this favor. You're going to have to do this for me. You have to show me loyalty. And that's what he does. He secretly puts people who are loyal to him in high political positions. One guy in charge of the cop, one guy in charge of the army, one guy in charge of this, one guy in charge of that. So by the time Lenin, again, the bald guy, realizes what he's doing, that he's setting up the chess pieces, it's already too late. Stalin's ready to attack. So in 1924, Lenin dies. That guy, remember the bald head. And basically, Stalin's like, okay, well, I'm in charge now. So let's get rid of all that old stuff. Lenin, all the people who were loyal to him, it's gone. You're out of here. You know, I don't care if you were mayor of this town. You're gone. You're done. And this is where a lot of those people were like, you know, he might kill us. So a lot of people exiled. They left Russia They went to Europe. Some people came to the Americas. Not when I mean America, not just the United States, but Mexico, South America. People came over here on this side of the world because they knew if they stayed in Russia, chances are Stalin's going to kill them. And it's a good thing too because Stalin became very paranoid, very paranoid. Now, like I said in class, you have to remember he, in a sense, betrayed Lenin. He betrayed him. So now that he's in charge, he's looking around going, "Oh, well, who's going to betray me? Who's this? Who's this guy? Oh, I don't trust him. I don't. He's probably going to backstab me. So he conducts a reign of terror and basically has people arrested in the middle of the night and has a quote unquote trial and charges them with counter revolutionary activities. And some people are executed, some people are sent off to Siberia to put in prison for the rest of their lives, things like that. So, Stalin, now that he's in charge, he believed in this thing called collectivism. Okay. And this was his thinking was this is the best way to grow more food, you know. And collectivism is basically when you look at the group instead of the individual. And this really didn't work, you know. Basically, he had people grouped in working to, on farms and things like that to grow more food. It didn't work. Millions of people were killed in forced labor, um, and people starved because of famine. Because hey, sometimes it doesn't matter how well you try to tend to the crops. Um, there's like a bacteria. There's something going on. There's a drought. There's not enough rain. The cold weather could destroy the crops. Too hot weather can destroy the crops. So it doesn't matter what you do. Sometimes the crops are just going to die. You know. The other thing is he tried to install an industrialization, meaning factories and some of that. He wanted to be like the United States in that sense, and Britain and France, that they have all these factories that could build things and some of that. And he wanted to do it quick, fast, and in a hurry, be at the same level as America and Britain. Here's the problem: when you do something fast, are you going to do a good job? And chances are it's going to be no. Now, the thing was, did he build these factories in record time? Yeah, it was pretty successful in that sense. But there were some bad things. Millions of people died at the work sites from accidents. They're trying to hurry up so much, that beams sometimes fell and crushed people. Or people are on top of something and all of a sudden slipped, fell, and died. And it's like, oh, move Ted out of the way because we got to hurry up and build this thing, you know. And in the environment was really badly damaged. Trees were destroyed, chopped down, even though they didn't have to be. It's just like they were trying to clear away. They're trying to do all this stuff, dumping stuff into water and things like that. That was nastiness. So, and that water was some towns drinking water. People got sick and died. So, yeah, it's just a lot of bad things happened. Okay. Now, anyone who basically stepped up to Stalin or even just said something behind his back saying, I don't think the Stalin guy is doing a good job. I think Stalin's out of his, you know, or anyone who tried to stop him from doing what he wanted to do. A lot of those people were met with lethal force, which meant they were killed. Some people who were fortunate enough not to be killed were either exiled, kicked out of Russia. That was probably the best thing that happened to them, really. Or they were sent to the gulags, which is like a kind of like a prison, but they make you work. And he basically worked those people to death. Okay. Now, as things were going on, as he is a leader, things are starting to transpire in his country. He notices things are starting to tense up in Europe, because Mussolini is now in charge. Then there's this little guy in Germany named Hitler. Now, Stalin looks at Hitler and goes, you know what? This guy reminds me of me. He's ambitious, he's tough, he takes what he wants. It kind of reminds me of me. So they actually meet up and they realize, like, hey, you know what? You're just like me. So they signed this agreement called the Non-Aggression Pact between um, Stalin and Hitler. So the Nazis and Russia make an agreement in early 1939 of if you don't attack me, I won't attack you. That's basically what that non-aggression agreement is. Because they knew, hey, you're just like me. So if I attack you, you're going to attack me. You're going to come after me because I would do the same thing to you. So they see, in a sense, eye to eye with one another. Okay. All right. So once you've finished this, you're done with this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Um, so next class, we are going to be getting into the beginning parts of World War II. We're going to be looking at the different laws that were created against the Jewish people, and what these laws said and how they were meant to hurt Jewish people in Germany. Okay. So, again, hopefully there's something new. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And you guys take care and be safe. All right.